Reflecting on your career journey, what does being recognized as an IABC Fellow mean to you personally and professionally? It means a hell of a lot. I've been around IABC for 20 plus years, and I've really been through a lot of ups and downs with the organization. And, at a time I was one of its biggest critics, at a time I was one of its biggest champions. Today, I'm a champion who is definitely looking to see what the future is of the association and, where it fits into the overall future of the profession. And being an IBC fellow gives me a unique license from which to do that as an advocate of the association and as somebody who has accomplished as much as anybody within the field over the time that I've been involved. I mean, it's great recognition. I mean, the group of fellow peers is outstanding, and these are people who I would ask for advice on communication issues. So I consider myself in very good company. And, personally, it's like having been somebody who's been kind of a gorilla in the field, challenging convention, challenging traditional ways of doing things, challenging, sometimes the excessive budgets that are spent on certain things, the excessive attention that are given to issues of peripheral importance to the organizations and communities that we work with. It's nice to know that I've been recognized for that and that my future activities will have a home in the IABC Fellowship. Throughout your career, how have you seen the communication profession evolve? And what role do you believe IABC plays in shaping the industry's future? So I've seen the communication profession, particularly internal communication, evolve from having ambitions of being a strategic function in a very management consultancy type of way to getting sidetracked by the focus on employee engagement that emerged around the turn of the century. This focus on employee engagement as a number that would somehow line up to increase productivity and measure the overall health of the organization, I think was really a major detour that we're now only starting to see the opportunity to recover from. The main thing about communication, particularly business communication, is it has the ability to function as an accelerator of performance and a reducer of friction within organizations and communities. And, the tools that we have, as much as they're seen as destructive in terms of a grand social scale, these can be actually beneficial to organizations, regardless of where they are in terms of their cultures. So one of the things that I'm talking about with one of my peers, Janet Hitcham, with whom I do a podcast called Navigating Disruption, is looking at kind of a new paradigm of organizational leadership. We're calling it Command and Control 2.0, that combines strong leadership direction with the use of modern communication tools, strategies, and tactics to help organizations align and move more quickly, particularly in times of trouble, rather than the focus that we have been seeing on, deliberation masquerading as collaboration to a large extent. And the key thing that IABC brings to the table is that IABC could be one of a number of homes from this discussion. And, it's a place where people who have ideas about communication and care about the profession can have civil but pointed discussions about these things. And I think that's a key thing about IABC. But I think the most important role that IABC has in shaping the industry's future is that IABC is the home of the most people who care about the future of the industry. IABC people care about the future of the IABC people care about the future of the industry, and they also care about each other. We care about each other. IABC isn't called a family or a tribe for no reason. We are people who have each other's back. We are looking to advance the profession together. We are looking to create better futures for our peers, for our colleagues, and ultimately respect for the work that we do. What's something you want to learn more under the guise of being a lifelong learner? Well, clearly the implications and permutations and the challenges and opportunities from AI are at the top of the list because, the stuff that we were thinking about in terms of AI 5 years ago. You know, could somebody write a decent press release? Could somebody turn my crap handwritten PowerPoint slides into something that I could show in a keynote speech? By and large, the answer to those questions has already been answered, and it's yes. Now we're going to another level. And the issue is, you know, at which point, not is AI going to replace us. I think AI will replace people who don't do much more than generate slides or generate content. But AI actually offers a massive opportunity for those who can really come up with good, you know, good questions to ask it, to get really good output and get output that streamlines a lot of processes, but also delivers some really good, good outcomes. So I want to learn more about AI. I want to learn more about tribalism, which is a topic that I wrote a book on. It's, you know, really continues to be a driving element of behavior at a global, national, and particularly enterprise level. I'd like to learn Icelandic. I'm doing 2 hours, 3 nights a week to pass a citizenship test here in Iceland. So I'd like to learn more Icelandic. And, you know, I'd also like to learn how to actually smoke a brisket without having a smoker. Question 4. What advice would you give to emerging communication professionals who aspire to have a lasting, okay, I'll repeat the question. What advice would you give to emerging communication professionals who aspire to make a lasting impact on their organizations and the field? I think the most important piece of advice I could give you is look for the things you can do without asking for permission. Look for the things that you can do without asking for permission or extra budget. And there's a lot of things that you can do. You know, it's about making introductions to people in a business. You know, as a communication professional, you know lots of people in an organization. And you also know lots of people who are isolated in your organizations or new to your organizations. If you spend time and energy connecting them up, not only are you doing a favor to both of the people who are involved, but you actually become core to those relationships. And by doing this systematically and over time, you build the network around you. Being somebody who's at the center of the network in an organization makes it a lot easier for you to have influence, and it makes you a lot harder to fire. So what else do I have to say about being an IABC Fellow? I mean, you know, it's like winning an Oscar. It's like being in the Hall of Fame, but it's not a Lifetime Achievement Award. You know, as a number of my fellow fellows have said, you know, now is the time for the next chapter. Now is the time to feel, you know, now is the time to stake out what your next contribution is going to be, your next impact is going to be. You know, and the fellow title is obviously something that's going to give me some additional traction in the industry, given that I've always positioned myself as something of an outsider, something of a challenger, something of an advocate and an activist. And, you know, being seen as a peer to the likes of Shell Holtz and Bonnie Caver and Priya Bates is something that's going to say, you know what, Mike knows what he's talking about, and you might want to listen to him for a change. And so I'm looking forward to having a bit more impact professionally and also on the future of IABC. IABC is in a great place. A lot of people don't believe it's in a great place, but it's in a great place. You know, IABC has thousands of dues-paying members. IABC has a brand that, you know, people consider part of their identity as professionals. A lot of people call IABC a family, and to a large extent it is, because we care about each other and we care about our profession. And, you know, if there's any group of people that's utterly committed to moving the profession forward, it is us. And we need to just get out of our own way in doing this. I mean, does that mean that we might need to look at how we operate and what we do and, you know, the titles we give ourselves and the amount of time and energy we spend talking to each other versus talking to the rest of the industry? But the main thing is we're in a place where we can do that, and I want to play a part in that conversation.